I'll be talking about what happened during May 21st, 2018. So my mom informed me that she's going to her friend's house, and I went to the library by myself. So I sat in the library by myself for at least 2 hours, and my mom arrives in the library, and she pulls up a chair from the next table and sat next to me. So she started talking about her friend giving her around $60 so she can purchase her CPR license or other license. Then she mentioned that her friend said that she should have taken that opportunity to go to Apalaca, which is in Miami Gardens in Florida, during the time me and my mom and my sister was living in Claremont Hotel, and that was around 2013. When she told me, during that time I was living in Claremont, my mom told me to search for reviews online about Apalaca. The reviews are so crucial about Apalaca that my mom, became very worried about that location. So she's holding me accountable, for saying and the way she had described it, for saying something negative. She's saying that I said something negative to prevent us from going to Apalaca. So when I was in the library, she called me stupid. She said, "You stupid boy." And I'm 25 years old. This is how she talks to me. She's been talking like this to me since the time, since we started living in Florida. I never heard her said that when I was living in here. That's her lack of trusting the location and going to move to that location. She should have taken her time out to go to the library herself, or, at least do some of her own research about Apalaca. She didn't have any confidence on herself moving to another location, especially like Apalaca, when you're hearing about a little kid getting, ended up dead from a stray bullet in the head. So that was around 2013. So my mother had immediately switched the topic as she didn't complete her sentence. She never finished her sentence about Apalaca. Then started describing an idea of how that I never had any motivation or desire to get a job in my life. So she described that you sit there all these years. She keep repeating the same response since she left Florida during that time of March 18, 2018. Because the multi-agent quantum artificial intelligence knows that the next day, me and my mom have to go to Brooklyn to go to this cash assistant place, this office, so she can ask for cash assistance. But every time I say the word self-employed, she keeps saying that I'm proud of saying that, which I'm not proud of saying, because the reason why I was self-employed was due to the help of people entirely on Poultry Shop. There was people who, offered me some sort of guidance about how to properly find a niche, so I could do marketing online and promote my website and create a hosting website and use proper keywords so you can attract specific amount of audience based on the keys used, because my website was free gift card codes and free game card codes, and I was positioned first page as ranked number one on Google for at least 2 weeks, and I was making at least $60 per day. But then again, my website got reported for illegal content, and someone blocked my page. But I was self-employed, and that was one of the toughest work that I had to do on the internet, because I had to create at least 20 blogs, 20 pages of blogs per day, and that's like over 5 hours worth of writing content, writing appealing content for people so they can be able to, notice my website, have recognition over my website, and I also use some sort of social engineering too. You know, things that people do not have, like specific things that people, you know, wanting to have, and they don't have it, so they can actually, you know, get desperate enough so they can actually join my website. So she continues to keep saying, I wasn't proud of what I was doing, you know, being self-employed. That was a lot of work. And she continues to say something that is mismatched because she's describing the way I'm feeling, and I'm not feeling the way she had described it. So what else I wrote? So like I said, I keep track of the things I write, especially the date, the things that my mom said to me, or the things that happened to me. So all my mother can still mimic is that you never got a job all these years. She keeps saying that to me. What else am I supposed to say after she mentioned that then she mentions that I'm afraid. One minute she mentioned that I'm lazy, the next minute she mentions I'm afraid. So this is something that happened back when I was living in New York as a child, where she mentions that you don't want to. She describes it actually. She always describes it the way she thinks that I'm thinking. She describes it for me, always describing it, so it can persuade her, convince her to think that I'm the way she had presented it at that moment, and it's mismatched. Because I'm not thinking of, you know, not doing my homework as a child, or I'm not thinking that, you know, this is something that rinse and repeats. This is not only she does it, other people done it to me, like teachers, my fellow classmates. They always describe something for me, like my friend. He always mentioned to me, my friend Samuel always mentioned that I had excuses. And I'm like, he had to understand, you know, he only describes it when he doesn't completely know the situation that I'm in. There was no excuses because I still completed my work. So what is he throwing this word constantly at me, regardless of what I do? This particular individual always tells me that I have excuses. So what else? And the way she's talking as if she's, you know, she knows the way I'm being managed in humanity. The way she's talking, like she's taking specific, you know, ideas from the multi-agent quantum artificial intelligence and she's trying to find a contradiction on the way I'm being managed, but it's incorrectly. Like find a contradiction about the way I'm being managed, so she can be the primary one to be speaking about it. She said, yeah, so what are you going to say to the people when you say you never had a job all these years? So this is something that a cousin had said to me. Her name was Shanika. This was December 2014. Well, she never said it to me personally. My mom informed me that Shanika said to her mother, Denise, which is my Aunt Denise, that what he's going to tell the people in the shelter. This wasn't back in Tampa, Florida, but I never ended up in a shelter when I was in Florida. Me and my mom and my sister, she ended up dropping me and my mom and sister to a hotel back in Kissimmee. She dropped us where she picked us up from back in October 2nd, 2014. Because by March 13 or 14, around that time, or 15, she ended up dropping us back in Kissimmee. It picks off from where it left off. Alright, and I'm getting dropped back there. And she's mentioning about what Andrew's gonna say to the people when he goes to the shelter, why he haven't gotten a job all these years. And she simply never, you know, my cousin Shanika never had a conversation, an ongoing conversation to know how, you know, if I ever got a job or what year I finished school. She already said to her mother what I'm gonna do, what I'm gonna say to the people when I get to the shelter about what I've been doing for all these years. Which was the way she was talking was very robotic. At that time, I simply was, you know, saying to myself, it was very robotic, and I started to come across, you know, ideas on my own, saying it has to be some sort of a supercomputer. It has to be some sort of supercomputers allowing this to happen, because it's happening simultaneously at me, you know, where they generate these responses. The mentality is fake at that particular time when they said it, and they don't recall what they said. Like I mentioned, about the camera. The camera and the audio memory, such as a digital recorder, can hold recognition of a specific date. Not a human being is capable of doing it. And I recently having a conversation with this guy. He also had picked up the same, picked up patterns. He picked up the patterns from my responses, and he also said that a digital recorder would be the superior device for audio memory. For not only that, for the camera itself would be the superior device for remembering this existence scenes by means having an access point to this time. Not a human being is capable of doing it. Now she's telling me that it's been 8 years. She keeps saying 8 years, right? She said 8 years. It's not 8 years. It's only been 6 years, going into 7. That's what she's trying to imply. Now she's saying 8 years. She's already going to 2019 already, saying 8 years. What is going on? She's already counting down to a time that never even happened. A time that she haven't yet to see for herself entirely. She's incapable of doing it on her own. But the only person who's capable of doing it is the multi-agent quantum artificial intelligence, the program in the supercomputer, the quantum supercomputer, who's capable of managing me in that particular way that she described at that particular time. That would make 8 years. So that's from September 2012 to 2019, or September 2012 going into September 2018. Now, so that whole 7 years of being put in that situation, I never, when I was living in a shelter in the Bronx, I informed my mom I'm going to Arizona to go to college. All right, I wanted to go to Arizona to go to the Arizona Advanced of Technology Institute. All right, to do video game programming / video game designing. I never said to my mom that I wanted to go to Florida, because I was invited to that institute. I received an invitation in the mail saying that I can go to that institute. So what she does when she speaks to me is she starts to make a scene in the library. She was making a very big scene in the library, and she continuously kept on talking loud, very loud, so she can make a scene. So not only loud, so she would just continuously keep saying words that are irrelevant. They're mismatched. That has absolutely nothing to do with the way she had described it. She's unconsciously saying these responses, because when I give her when I actually try to pick up the patterns from the way she spoken to me at that particular time, she immediately goes back into regurgitating from a response that she had said when we left Florida back in March 23rd, 2018. And from there on out, she kept regurgitating, and she starts personally attacking me. So once she stops talking, the wireless network timed me out. So I was in the library using my laptop, and it timed me out. The wireless network from Queens Library timed me out. So I also have a video of it too. That's a recording of the wireless network timing me out for a very long time. That never happened. Everybody in the library is on their computer and on their smartphone using the internet. And the server, the DNS server, just like in Palm Motel, said DNS probe error. Might as well say it. DNS probe finished, no internet. And it timed me out for a very long time, over 45, possibly over 50 minutes, an hour at least, not letting me access the internet. So I just got up around 3:14 or 10 p.m. I got up and I said to myself that I'm going to the Link NYC free Wi-Fi to access the internet on my smartphone instead. So I mentioned on here, only the artificial intelligence, the multi-agent quantum artificial intelligence would know how I'm being managed. So it's trying to find a contradiction, so it can make it seem that I have the idea that I wanted to be put in a situation where I won't get a job. I wouldn't be able to have that idea. I never thought that way. The first person to introduce that idea is thinking that way for me. Or saying that I do not want to go to school. I wasn't thinking that way. I never had introduced that idea that I didn't want to go to school. But the person who's seeing me seeing me stuck in that situation are unconsciously denying themselves from being able to express themselves to think that, hey, this person is put in a situation. Why is he that he's stuck in a situation? And no matter where he go, people start arguing with me and start saying that I'm incapable of doing things for myself. But truly, the humanity don't know the difference between independent and socially dependent. The whole entire humanity is socially dependent. And from there on out, I got that pattern based on how I was being managed in humanity by people, based on the way people spoken to me. Like I said, it's like, playing a video game where you're playing Street Fighter and you're picking up patterns. You notice that that when you're playing it in the hardest mode, like yesterday, for instance, I'm playing Street Fighter X Tekken, and I pick up a pattern from the boss in a game, and it continues to spam EX attacks, and I pick up from it constantly. The more I lose, the more I pick up from the pattern, and I use 2 characters, Sakura and Alicia, and I managed to pick up the patterns from it, from the EX attacks, and every time I jump, it makes a EX attack or kicks, and I ended up beating the boss on the hardest difficulty in the game. And based on patterns, it's pretty simple. It's a pattern. It's done more than one time, but it's constantly done more than one time to me. So it's the response where she mentions that I repeat the same thing and I'm not, to convince me. She's trying to persuade my inner thoughts that I'm repeating. She uses a word that is irrelevant, that is mismatch, has absolutely nothing to do with my response being irrelevant, because I'm reading her patterns based on her spoken language, and I'm saying to myself, that's not repeat. And when I asked my own mom what repeat means, she said, you think you know everything. So that shows that she doesn't have any proper definition of what repeat is. All right, so what else I'm going to talk about? So me and my mom went to Dollar Tree. So by the time me and my mom reached the cashier, she was picking on the cart. So this is something that she did during Sunday, where she specifically picks on the cereal and tells me if I ever check the cereal date out of all the items that I picked up. She specifically picks on the cereal expiration date and questioned me. She questioned me on the expiration date. Have you checked the expiration date? Why wait? Why you didn't have that time to tell me that when we was not online for waiting for the cashier to scan the items and pay and make us pay. Why you have to do it? Why you have to do it when we have all of our items on the counter? Why is that? Why she's doing that? Why she didn't ask me that when I picked up the cereal? She was too busy talking with my sister and looking for her own items. And now she tries to create some sort of issue here by telling me that I didn't look at the expiration date. How would you know I didn't look at the expiration date? Why you specifically pick on that rather than the 2 sausages that I picked up and what else I picked up? And the milk. So, because this time it knows, I'm talking about the artificial intelligence, knows that I'm holding my heavy laptop in my left hand, so it allowed her to say that I have an excuse. I didn't have an excuse. I'm holding my laptop. When there's no way I can steer a big cart with one hand in a very small area near the cashier, because I'm going to end up hitting people. I can't steer a big cart with one hand. Then again, I know what's in my laptop case, all right? And it's my laptop. And Later on, when we got back into the shelter, unit, she had explained to me that if it was her, she would have, what I could have done? She said to me, I would have put the laptop in the cart, and I would push it and give it to the people and take it out. This is what she said. Then again, if she would have done that, she would have ended up hitting my laptop in the cart. Alright? She would have been hitting the laptop in the cart because it's heavy and end up putting either a dent or a scratch on it. It's not. She's just the way she's thinking. She's trying to, create a situation there. That's not like her. So this is like the second time she's creating that. So that's what I put on here. I was explaining to my mom that this is the third time she had done this, because Sunday she specifically picks on the serial expiration date, and Monday she starts confronting me as she described that I don't want to go to work, as telling me that I never had any motivation or to want to associate myself with people entirely. So when she mentions I'm afraid, she's telling me I don't want to associate myself with people entirely, that there are people might end up doing something to me. And I'm not thinking that way. I'm listening to her describe these responses about me, and that's not the way I'm thinking or feeling. It's not the way her thoughts are not going the way she had thought of it, or the way she felt for me at that time. It's not going that way for her. It's going the way that it has been described by the multi-agent quantum artificial intelligence. So when I started talking to my mom about what she did, my mom then cuts me off saying that I talk too much. She, used irrelevant phrases to cut me off. Then she continues to talk to my sister over my voice while, crossing the street. We end up leaving the dollar store, the Dollar Tree, and we crossed the street, and she was talking over my voice while she was having a conversation with my sister about something completely different from what just happened. When we got into the shelter to sign in the login sheet, then she talked to the guard about someone left their phone. I started talking about this is one of the reasons why I can't be in a working community, because people I've done people continuously keep doing this. I keep encountering more than one person, telling me that I have excuses, describing something that has, describing the way I'm thinking, and that's not the way I'm thinking at that moment. It's mismatch, and that's not the way I'm feeling. Someone's telling me I have excuses, that's not the way I'm feeling. Someone say I'm lazy, that's not the way I'm feeling or thinking, because I'm always motivated. I always have a desire to do something, and that's like me. I was talking about the main reason why I'm not being allowed to be part of a working community, so I put that on my date, because this behavior that I've been experiencing from people since I was a child always appear where it's detectable for me, because it's appearing. I'm always experiencing this constantly. My sister said a mismatched phrase saying that I talk too much on the elevator when I started explaining about the working community. She continues, she was very emotionally, more like she was emotionally concerned for my response that she had to say something. Then she mentions, I don't care. If you don't care, you wouldn't need to say that. You would just stay quiet to the side. That means you're concerned about my responses. And not only concerned, she's very offended by my responses. She's offended as if she has a complete idea about what I'm saying. As if that the multi-agent quantum artificial intelligence had specifically programmed, by means instructed her thought keys, by means cryptographic keys, to set a specific algorithm so she can be able to say that, so she can, try to intentionally provoke me. That's the task that's been handed, to provoke me, because I had reacted to exactly the pattern that's going on here. And the pattern significantly corresponds with one another. And I'm explaining it. I have something on my mind that is worth saying, and they're not acknowledging my response. Yet my sister and my mom can have conversations for 3 hours straight, and my mom and my sister don't say that my sister's talking too much. My sister doesn't say to my mom that she's talking too much. Because I was very concerned about what my mom been doing for the past couple of days. So she also mentioned that I need a shock. My mom said that I need a shock in my brain, and that's something irrelevant. What does shock or shoot? She said shoot or shock in my brain has completely nothing to do with it. What is she, referring to? She's telling. I'm explaining something to what she did to me in a store on Sunday and on the 21st, and she's telling me to shock my brain. Very emotional. When she said shock my brain, or shoot my brain, she was very emotional saying it. So when I explained to my mom about it, again, she continues to say, you talk too much. So, where is she implying that I'm speaking too much to her? When I just started speaking, then she mentioned again, you talk too much. I just started speaking. You talk too much. When I explain again, she cuts me completely off and mentions once again, you talk too much. I don't know if maybe you're hungry. I don't know, maybe if you're hungry, you talk too much. You talk too much. Every time I explain, I'm like, she's not calm when she's speaking to me. This is a strategic method where the multi-agent quantum artificial intelligence had made sure to specifically instruct my mom and my sister to cut me off. Like I mentioned, based on the algorithm. They've been reprogrammed, and their behavior needs to be, more like their behavior needs to be readjusted a bit. So I need to actually try to readjust the way they had, talked to me or given me these responses. I had to try to find the error within their responses so I can correct them so they can, stop doing that. So they don't have to do that again. So the whole repeating thing and the whole excuse thing, and then she starts, presenting a new behavior. The last time that I seen my mom, behave like this in the public was around fall 2014 when me and my mom was living in Tampa, Florida, where me and her went to McDonald's, and I used the internet in McDonald's, and there would be this guy sitting in McDonald's, this African American guy. One day my mom started going all out on me and started to make a scene, started creating, finding something so she can get angry at, unconsciously angry at, more like the artificial intelligence had programmed her to find a specific topic to talk about so she can get, angry at it. Unconsciously angry at it so she can start an argument with me about it. And the person behind us said, you gotta calm down, you gotta stop. I just left McDonald's, and I was thinking to myself that she's not talking properly. She used something irrelevant, didn't complete her sentence, started jumbling her words, and started to mention phrases that do not even belong with the topic. And this is something that happened to me when she mentioned about that I was hungry, right? So when she cut me off, talking about when she cut me completely off, when she said to me, you talk too much. This is something that happened during the time of the wedding, which was 2009, in church. This was going to the church. So me and my mom and my sister got back from, taking the Green Acres bus back to our house, and we ended up going back, and all of a sudden I noticed that my cousin, uncle, Fat, mentioned that I'm quiet. Now, that's not enough time to say that I'm quiet. It's mismatch. Alright? He specifically picks on me rather than my sister and my mom. And there's literally no one in the church but just, me, like upstairs the church. Me, my sister, my mom, and Fats. So what are you talking about me being too quiet? I just got there. I just recently got there. How can I be too quiet? And there's no one to talk, there's no one to have a conversation with. Everybody's downstairs. And I noticed that the intention was to provoke me. So I can, it wants me to display irrational behavior because it sees later on, it simulates later on, it would be necessary for me to display this behavior, such as when I started living with my father, such as the Aunt B house. Those are where it want me to display the irrational behavior. It wants people to see that my behavior is irrational and make sure that people see that I don't want to, they don't want me in their house when the necessary time is where I'm struggling. I shouldn't even be struggling. Like I said, I'm a senior I was a senior in high school back in 2012, and I ended up in this situation because the way the multi-agent quantum artificial intelligence managed me. I'm wondering why is that every single person in my family are disgusted with me, and I really, I really see them, really. Mostly the time I go to school, come back home, go on the computer, start doing my projects, start doing my homeworks, all my homeworks and my projects, and then studying for my tests. Back when I was in 11th grade, and when I was living with my father, and I'm wondering why every single person thought exactly, think exactly alike about me. So I noticed that my sister spent an hour, she was doing something irrational, something that she never did, spent an hour in the bathroom, and she came out and she said to my mom that she's been dancing in the bathroom for an hour and brushing her teeth. Ridiculous. So then again, it was around 10 p.m. My mom had turned off the light when I was just waiting for at least 10 to 40 p.m. to go to the bathroom and go to sleep. Instead, she informs me she needs to wake up earlier, but never thought of me needing to go back to the bathroom. So instead, she said, all you do is think about yourself. And she knows that I always go to the bathroom. She knows I haven't been to the bathroom yet, and yet she takes off the light without informing me. And she's trying, this intention was to provoke me, because the first person who mentioned provoke was my sister. My sister didn't settle things by saying that whatever my mom did was unusual. Instead, she said provoke, because she simply, my sister unconsciously couldn't express herself for what my mom had did to me. So instead, she said provoke, because that was the intention of what my mom was supposed to do.